Welcome to A Well-Designed Business with your host, Luann Nigara. Luann has a lifetime of experience building a multi-million-dollar business with her husband and cousin, and she knows the challenges you face in your interior design business. Luann brings you real-life answers to your most pressing problems, as well as practical strategies to explode your interior design business. So, let's get to the business of interior design.
Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. So do you remember a few weeks ago when I interviewed Leslie Carruthers and Sam Henderson? If you haven't listened to that one yet, go back. It's episode 209. They have a company they started called Savor Partnership, and it specializes in custom-branded magazine quality, e-publications, with the purpose of driving traffic to your website. The thing is, in that interview, Leslie happened to say in the course of the discussion, if we weren't using Pinterest to drive traffic to our website, then we were missing the boat. And I thought, what? I'm not using Pinterest to drive traffic to my website. I don't even know how to do that. And the thing is, I couldn't just ditch the conversation that we were having, but I thought I need to find out about that. So the very next day, I emailed the interview company that I work with, and I said, please find me a Pinterest expert stat. And the funny thing was that I think the following day or later the same day, Darla Powell messaged me, and she's like, are you going to get a Pinterest expert? And I was like, yes, I am. Because I figured if we both were wanting it, then probably you were wanting it too. So, but here's the funny thing. The interview company hasn't found me one yet. And today's guest is Allison Fannin from Texas, the principal of 235 Designs. And I invited her on the show for a specific reason. And then when I was researching her, I found out that she has 27,000 followers on Pinterest. So Allison graciously allowed me to make this the focus of our discussion of figuring out this Pinterest thing. So, it's a pretty funny story how Allison and I met. And in the course of the story, a lot of Allison's background comes out. So I'm not going to go through it here in the introduction because you probably would kill me because everything would take too long. But anyway, so hang on while I tell you about our sponsor. And then I'm going to be right back with Allison Fannin of 235 Designs. Hey everybody, I have Marina here from Marina V's Design Studio in New Jersey, and I happened to walk in on a conversation where Marina was explaining to a colleague of ours in my Window Work showroom why she loves my Doma Studio, and she was specifically talking about how she previously thought my Doma was only valuable for designers that had lots of big projects. Marina, tell us what you learned by using my Doma Studio.
Well, I decided to try it on a smaller project, and I found it very useful because the same pieces apply to whether it's a large project or a small project. It's still a lot of work. I was able to upload all my contracts, the project photos, all the measurements and notes, and sourcing all the items made it so much easier and putting everything on my Doma.
I love that because you really learned that whether it's one living room or a whole house, it had value for you. And then there was one other thing that you said that you really liked, that something about putting together gifts for the holidays. Tell me what that was.
Yes, it allows us to put together packages and allows us to put gift certificates as part of the feature of the design packages. And I was featuring it around the holidays. It makes it easier for everyone to purchase it as gifts.
I love it. Hey, Allison, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hey, Luann. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I know, me too. And I'm just going to share with everybody how we came to be connected. Okay, so first of all, Allison has a million talents, okay, which I'm discovering more and more as I was talking to her off air. But the funny thing is that I found Allison because Allison recently, I mean very recently, so recently that the day of a recording, the night before, she had to set up the website for Magazine Living. Okay, so here's the thing, everybody. Magazine Living, I found it on Instagram. That's where you first put it, right? That was the only place it was,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So
yes,
Magazine Living is a page on Instagram. and it came across my feed. And I'm like, most of the time I have to tell you, all of you, that I'm not searching Instagram for pleasure. I'm just not, because it's, there's too many things to do in a day. And I'm searching Instagram, to make sure I respond and communicate with everybody that's responding and communicating and supporting me. And B, always on the lookout for more fresh blood for the podcast. Let's be real.
Right.
And so what happens is all of a sudden this magazine living comes across me, and it's this crazy picture. And I was like, what is that? And I read the caption. Okay, I am going to say it wrong. Do you remember that first caption about,
oh gosh,
with the looking at the back of the head one?
I think so. Yes.
So I want to set it up, and then you say the caption. Okay. So there's this picture there. You have to go to everybody to the Instagram post for Magazine Living, but there's this picture there. And it looks like, I don't know. It looks like the fourth Duchess of Earl and her brother and her, boyfriend, all like, it looks like something out of Downton Abbey, right? But more modern, but totally like if you lived in Downton Abbey now, sitting there on the cliffs. Okay. And they're at a picnic. Now go ahead, Allison, tell us your caption.
I said, why did William's brother Will always have to stare at the back of her head every time they sat on the roof to eat grapes? Margaret thought to herself. Will number 2 is insistent on sitting on the uncomfortable inverted rafters and hauling the chrome egg around all through Paris. So obviously there's a picture of a big chrome egg. Margaret didn't understand why they needed a full set of silverware for grapes, but she was more perturbed that William kept her pillow for his knee and his pillow for his back.
I'm
and
dying.
it was from Town and Country magazine.
I was dying. I'm like, what am I seeing here? I mean, it stopped me in my tracks, and I'm reading it and reading it again. And I'm like, wait, this isn't a magazine making fun of itself, is it? I'm like, what is happening? Right. And I don't remember what I responded. I really should have pulled the darn post up. Did I respond polite first?
I think you did. Yeah, you started saying, who is this? I'm laughing at
yeah, it was just so, hysterical, because here's the thing, oh my God, now I got, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry I'm doing this on air because it is just too funny. I just jumped in on it with you. That's what I did. And did anyone ever wonder why they have a silver egg? Is this how the uber rich transport their silverware to eat grapes on rafters? Okay. But I have to say, what I probably did was I private messaged you. I private messaged you and said, what is this? And then I went back and felt comfortable publicly to continue mocking with you.
Yes. But you were messaging me over Instagram, and I wasn't logged into that account.
Right. And so then you came back on Facebook. That's right, because you didn't answer me. And so then I went and found you on Facebook. I was hunting you down. I was like, what is going on over there? Okay, so everybody, I'm so sorry to indulge myself in this, but it was hysterical, and the feeds are hysterical. And by the time that little exchange was over on Facebook that night, I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, I'm like, you have to be on the show. You totally have to be on the show. Here's a link. And you're like, I have nothing to say. I'm like, yes, you have to be on the show. And so now what's even funnier, everyone, is that I didn't care. I didn't even know what Allison did beyond that thing, that Magazine Living. I was like, this is hysterical. We're having her on the show. And here's what's really insane. And I emailed her today and I said, whoa, talk about under the radar. Allison has a following on Pinterest of 29,000 people, and she's only following like 700. So sometimes you have a following of 29,000 and you're following 50,000. It's like, hey, good for you. Believe me, I'm in that boat, believe me. But, and then your Instagram is almost 13,000 followers and only like 600 or 700 that you're following. And so this means that you're really putting out some amazing content. And then, okay, let's do this. So now I'm thinking, okay, so she's a social media expert. This is what she does. But no, I go to her website and find out that she is an amazing interior designer on top of it. And I'm just like, what is going on with this woman? And so I met you last week at Las Vegas Market and still hadn't done my research yet. So I didn't have a chance to gush over you in person. But I am extremely impressed by what you're doing. And I'm going to share with everybody that we just spent a good 30 minutes trying to figure out what it is that we should talk about that is the most valuable to share with you guys. Because I said to Allison, this is like somebody who is like the top cardiologist in New York City, but is also the #1 rock star on YouTube. So it's like, well, which one do we teach everybody about?
Yeah.
And so I have decided that what we're going to do is, look, we know when you get to her website, you'll see the amazing designs that she does. And that's a whole other thing there. There is an actual show there because she's very involved with a builder in her area in Texas, literally has 40 projects going on this summer with that builder, and does her own work in addition to that. So that's a whole business right there to talk about. But I think that the fact that you are a successful blogger, Allison, that you have this huge Pinterest following and you have a very large Instagram following, that we're going to pick this apart, and that's what we're going to focus on. And the reality is that I also found out in our conversation, everybody, that she's kicking it on Facebook too. So, I mean, and of course, in real time, we're recording this on the same day that the show is live that Kate O'Hara did for Facebook. And so we're just kicked off a Facebook series, which will run for the next 5 weeks. And so I think that Alice and I have pretty much decided that we're going to record a Facebook show, and I'll tack it on to the end of this series. But so when Facebook comes up organically, we've decided it's fine, but we're going to focus on these others. And it's particularly because we had the show recently with Savor Partnership with Leslie Carruthers and Sam Henderson, and they both expressed, they were teaching us that the value and how important it is as a designer to make your platform grow and to capture emails. And she mentioned a minute about, hey, if you're not using Pinterest to drive people back to your website, you're missing the boat. And I couldn't indulge that questioning line too long because we had so much other content to cover. So this is perfect because I have been looking for a Pinterest expert for a month. And you just like plopped into my lap here. So
Good.
Okay, so I'm just setting up for everybody how much you could talk about, and then I'm painfully limiting it to a couple of topics. So, Allison, let's get off the bat with the Pinterest thing. Tell us, of course, you did say to me that you've had your Pinterest for a very long time, but the point is that, I mean, WindowWorks has a Pinterest page. I don't think until Leslie Carruthers mentioned it on the show, I hadn't even opened the Pinterest in, I think, a year, because I just never really figured out and never had a light bulb moment on how to connect that whole exercise of Pinterest into converting to clients and prospective clients. So talk to us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I could probably talk days about it. And like you mentioned, literally days. Like you mentioned, I've been on it. Whenever Pinterest first came out, it was an invite only, and you had to send in your email and be accepted. And I remember getting on it, and I was like, what is this? Like, it's a bulletin board. And I had a friend that invited me, and so it was literally like a bulletin board that you were taking magazine clippings out.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, you can link, eventually a few years later, like link your blog into it and, all this crazy stuff. So now, like everything else, it's evolved. I think of Pinterest as just, it's a search engine. Most people usually go to Pinterest I shouldn't say over Google, but even if you Google an image or a recipe or whatever, usually it comes from Pinterest. So a lot of the times I will just open up Pinterest and just search. And you can see what's trending in your search bar, what people are searching for. Every day it changes. So yes, I am like the other girl. If you're not using it to drive traffic to your website, you're missing a huge thing on that.
So tell us, like, how does that happen? Because, like I said, I remember I was started on Pinterest, same thing back when you had to, send your request to be invited in and yada yada. And I made all these darn boards and I loaded it all up, and even spent a year having my paid social media team add pins to the boards. And I spent a whole year with not even opening Pinterest and having them do it. But none of us made the connection on how do we actively encourage is it a matter of plugins? What is the disconnect from having a gabillion pins on Pinterest and not having anybody come to your website? What went over my head?
Well, I think a lot of it is, and I go back to kind kind of like Facebook on this. Pinterest is a lot of group boards, and you can join in with other people and all pin to the same board. And that's huge because you're gaining their followers that aren't necessarily following you or seeing any of your stuff. And, the way Pinterest used to work is if somebody was following you, they would see all of your pins. And now it's kind of changed where I will see people's pins that I do not, like what you said, I don't follow a lot of people on Pinterest because Pinterest is curated now. It knows what my pinning style is and what I am looking for and just overall general aesthetic. And so it will show me things. It's actually pretty smart. It will show me things of what, like if I mainly went on for recipes or pasta, my feed would probably be centered around pasta. And they've had quirks. It's taken them a while. It used to not be like that. It used to be like Facebook and Instagram where it was just in a time order of what was being pinned and you could see what your friends were pinning. And it's not like that anymore. It shows you what you want to see or what it thinks you want to see.
Okay.
So, going back to the group boards, that is a huge thing, and it used to be it was a really big thing to pin to other people in a group board, that's all like DIY or crafts or interior kitchens or stuff like that, because you're really getting that boost from their followers. And the click over, of course, you want the click over. So that's a huge deal. And also knowing what times to pin, different times of day, what days of the week to pin. And you can use scheduling services and all that stuff. But Sundays are a huge deal on Pinterest and Facebook because Sunday nights people are usually tired and sitting down. So Sunday night is a huge traffic drawer for me from Pinterest.
Wow. Okay. And so one of the things, how does somebody, I've had a lot of experts, and I realized when I saw both of your platforms with such a significantly less amount of followers than the people that you are following compared to followers. How does that happen? For instance, let's use, my Instagram as an example. I recently, in the last 3 months, maybe crossed over to more followers than I'm following, but we're talking about 2,100 to 2,500 or 2,600. And I have always, what's funny is, of course, you all know that I love and adore Mark McDonough from Tastefully Inspired. And it's funny because I realized today I never asked him this question. But how is it like what am I going to, at some point, I'm going to, unfollow a lot of people. So does it matter? Or is it just that I'm growing it differently? And so maybe at some point there's some momentum that's going to be reached and I'll inch up to 6,000, but I won't continue to follow. And what about the following? I feel like if somebody follows me, I feel like I'm being a jerk if I don't follow back. Unless they're totally not in my industry, tell me about this. Talk to us. Because is it the same principle for both Instagram and Pinterest, or are there different theories for the two platforms, Allison?
I think I think they're different, but then they can be a lot alike. Pinterest for me has been completely organic. I have not ever promoted a pin on Pinterest.
Does that mean pay for a promoted pin?
Yes,
is that what there is?
yes.
There's promoted pins?
Running an ad, and probably why, because I sat down to actually do it one time and there was too many steps involved and I walked away.
Well, that's how long it's been since I've paid attention to Pinterest. I didn't even know you could promote or pay, just like you could for the other sites. So, so that's a completely organic thing that you are following 700 people and 29,000 people are following you. That's insanity.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't feel now that I need to follow people on Pinterest because my feed is curated the way I like it, and it knows what I'm going to pin, and so I really don't feel the need. I used to follow more people, a lot more on Pinterest than what I do now, because I don't even get updates on whenever I'm getting followers because I couldn't stand the emails anymore. So I just unsubscribed to that. So I get on and I'll check my count to make sure, everything's still smooth sailing. But a lot of my pins lately are not my own. Like, I'm repinning other people's stuff that I like. And so not all of it is my own stuff, because I feel like my fans, or not my fans, my followers, they will get bored if I'm constantly repinning my own work over and over and over again.
So then tell me, let's just do this. How many minutes or hours in a day or a week are you spending pinning? Let's just start with that.
Goodness. I don't spend as much time on Pinterest as I do on Instagram, because I feel like people on Instagram, I have chosen to follow them, and I like seeing that stuff as opposed to Pinterest. Like every once in a while, Pinterest will be, and I don't know if it's because they're working their stuff out, like it will be, you'll know because you'll click on it and it says, you've already pinned this. And I'm like, I already saw this. So I will get bored with it. But if I'm looking for an idea of, like in a cabinet meeting, kitchen cabinets or gold pendant lighting or something, I will go on Pinterest. I usually get on Pinterest maybe twice a day, in the morning or at night.
What's so funny, I thought it was the way you were playing it down, you're going to say maybe once a month. And I'm like, oh, it's still twice a day. Okay.
No, I will. Like I'll get on Pinterest and scroll through it if I'm watching TV or if I'm just kind of zoning out and I'm like, oh, okay, I like that sofa, and I'll save it. So, but like the follower count, like what you were saying, like on Instagram and stuff, I just, it's kind of like the whole friendship thing. Like,
it feels funny not to follow people.
She won't be my friend. Yeah. And so, and I just got like, I feel like the more people I follow with my 235 Designs account, I see less and less of what I actually want to see. So, like my personal, it started out that I was following my personal friends, and then, it grew to like brands and like designers that I really do love to follow. And I don't see my friends' accounts anymore. And it's kind of like, oh, I didn't even realize that happened. So I do have a private personal account that I keep, totally separate for following just family and my kids. But, I feel like stuff gets lost, and the more people I follow, and for a while there on Instagram a few years ago, it was like a big deal to have this massive amount of following, but you're only following 50 people. Right. And there's several accounts I couldn't I really want to follow. I really wanted to follow those people. So, and now a big thing on Instagram is to do the whole rule of it's follow, unfollow, or they follow you for 3 days and then they will go back and unfollow you. And it's mainly to get the click over to them to follow. And I really don't like that. So, if it comes across my feed and I really like, it's just what I like. I just follow. If I really like it, I follow it. So,
okay. So now go back to the Pinterest on how is it a technical driver to the website? Like, what do we have to do? Because I'm, have a gabillion pins there, and I never had, 90 people come over to my website from it. So is there a way to pin? Is there a certain, what happens there?
Okay. So Pinterest is all, I think personally, a lot of it is about like we had discussed earlier about rich pins and keywords. So if you are a business or a brand and you have a blog or a website, you want to go ahead and get the rich pins. So what the rich pins are is below a picture, you will see usually like a title and a description. And all it is it's just talking about, it captures, it tells you what's going on in the picture, but basically that's keywords. So if I'm going to go in and search modern entryway, you need to make sure that you have to think of how the user's going in and searching Pinterest for stuff, like family dinners or before and afters or gray bedrooms, upholstered headboards. How is that person thinking, or what are they thinking about whenever they're searching in Pinterest? So a lot of that goes back to your blog post on your keywords and what you title your picture as.
Oh my goodness, the little light bulb just went off. Okay, so what you're saying is
good. I was hoping you would get that.
Okay, I just got it. I think I just got it. Let's see. Maybe I didn't. Let's see. So what we're saying is if I just wrote a blog post that said modern entryway design or whatever, then I'm going to put a picture on Pinterest that's called the same thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I connect that somehow electronically. So if you click on that pin, well, that happens automatically. Like I'm pinning it from my blog there, right? I'm trying to remember how I used to use it.
In a normal blog post for me, which nothing is ever normal. I feel like I always get disrupted, but I go in and I edit my pictures, and I save my pictures, whatever the title is of my blog post, because you want, for SEO, you want everything to be, for the most part, titled the same way. So modern, gray, modern, minimal, entryway. Like how descriptive can I get? And there's actually several websites that you can go in and search your keywords or your SEO, and it will tell you how it ranks and if it's good or not. And I do have to think about, I feel like you and I we're in a creative industry, so how we think of things is not how a lot of people are going to go in and search it as.
Right.
So I really have to think if I'm going to look for this, what am I going to search? How do I type in words? How basic do I get? So I save all my pictures as that, put it into my blog post, and then as soon as I hit publish, I will go and pin my own stuff. And so then it will pop up. It pops up there on the rich pins of, modern, gray, and minimal, entryway.
And how do we get it to do that as a rich pin? Is there something we have to do? Is there a plugin, or how does it make it a rich pin?
You go in and you apply for rich pins. You can just Google rich pins on Pinterest, and it will tell you there's 4 different types of rich pins, shopping, products, recipes, and then just article pins. So, and on Pinterest, it says article pins help pinners save stories that matter to them. Each article pin shows a headline, an author, and a story description. So it tells you where it came from, the headline of the blog post, and the story description. And sometimes it will just take a little excerpt of your blog if you don't have anything in there. But that's why it's really important to fill out on your photos, all your information. If you're in WordPress, you can click on your photo and edit it. And fill out the description of the photo. And so that's what it pulls over. It doesn't pull over the blog post. It pulls over whatever you're putting in behind that picture. That's what it's pulling over and putting on Pinterest.
Okay. So, all right. So there's a step in the administration of Pinterest where you have to go in and apply for rich pins. Yes. Is there a fee for it?
No, there's not. Or there wasn't whenever I did it. No, there's not. You actually need to be on a business account on Pinterest.
Okay.
And actually, the business account on Pinterest is really cool because, like anything else, it gives you analytics, and you can see how your top pins are, your own personal pins, like what is coming from your blog. You have to put in your blog or your website from it, but you can see what your top pins are, and how many visitors you're getting, and then how many clickovers that you're getting from that. And I'm a huge numbers. I'm just a nerd. I used to not like analytics, and now I totally get a kick off of it because I'm like, what are people? It's like a social behavior. What are people doing? How are their minds working? What are they pinning? What are they liking this month? What are they not liking? Right. And a lot of it's seasonal too. Like, a lot of people are getting ready. They're already starting to pin fall and Halloween, and it's just crazy because I'm in Texas and we're still
105 degrees. Yeah.
Yes, but it's like, people are already starting, and in a lot of my blogger groups, it's like they're already doing their Halloween stuff. They're doing Thanksgiving stuff because as soon as that last quarter hits, you want to be, because that's how they make their money. So they have to be on their game and be prepared for it. So,
okay. I got to go back to this rich pins, though. I'm not done.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry. That's okay. It's all good information, but I still don't get it. So if I don't get it, somebody out there doesn't get it either. Okay.
Switch over, get your Pinterest account set up if you don't have it set up, and then switch it over to a business account.
Right.
And you'll get the analytics for that. It will ask you what your website is, and then after that, you need to go in on that side and apply for rich pins. And sometimes it takes a couple of days, and then they'll email you, and they're like, you're approved for rich pins. And then from there, and that makes a world of difference. If for some reason you don't have rich pins set up or something, if you pin a pin from your personal website, go in and edit it. Like, you can click on your pin, and there will be like a little pencil up in the top right-hand corner, and fill in the information on it. You can change the description, the title, you can do all that stuff. It's not quite the same as rich pins, but it still gives a description of it. So if somebody else goes and pins it, it will give a description of it. And that's, what it's all about is what people are searching and what words they're typing in.
So the thing is now, once I apply for rich pins and once that is set up on my account, take me back to my blog post. So this is what I'm hearing from you. You're going to check me. What I'm hearing from you is that if I have a blog post that has, say, 5 pictures in it, and the blog post is called Modern Entry Design, let's just keep with that, then I want every picture in my tagging, my behind the scenes picture naming, to be called Modern Entry Design.
That's correct.
Okay, no matter if I'm showing a picture of an urn, I'm showing the picture of the front street, I'm showing a picture of the window, they're all going to be called the name of my blog. Okay, let me run through it so I make sure I understand everything. You can show me where I'm missing something.
Okay.
So I start with that. I make every picture in my blog called Modern Entry Design. I post my blog post. I have it titled the same thing. Then as soon as I post my blog post on my website, I now go and I pin each of my pictures to the appropriate board on my own Pinterest site. Now, does Pinterest, because I have previously set up Rich Pin, does it automatically import that title as a Rich Pin, or do I need to do another step once I get to Pinterest?
No, once you're approved for Rich Pins, it pulls all that information. So basically you don't have to do anything. It pulls all that information over.
Love that.
And it will tell you, like on your back end, it tells you if it's a Rich Pin or not. Because there for a while mine were, and then they weren't again. And I think it was just kinks in the whole system. But and you can usually tell which ones are Rich Pins because they don't have a description below them, or they don't say Emily Henderson's 38 favorite dressers in the world. You know what I mean? Like usually it has a title and then the excerpt.
So now let me ask you something about that. And I am sorry that I keep cutting you off, but it's so much good information that I have to understand it as we go along, because then the next thing you say doesn't mean anything to me. Okay. So now I have titled each of my pictures by the name of my blog post, but I don't know. I don't recall, because it's been so long since I've done it myself, how many characters I have for that title. So when you talk about that, the Rich Pin in Pinterest is going to have, you said the headline, the author, and the story description. Is that getting pulled from the headline and the story and the author because I've put that in the title of my blog, or am I also putting that in every one of my pictures on the tagging of my pictures?
I put it on my pictures.
So, okay, because that's a good thing. So, like, I'm going to have 6 pictures associated with Modern Entry Design blog posts. One is of the actual, maybe the before of the front door. And the second is going to be, it was painted. And the third is the urns are added. And the fourth is, the rocking chair is sitting there. And the fifth is all the plants are there, okay? But
Correct.
Each picture in my meta tags, or whatever the heck they call it, is going to say Modern Entry Design by Allison Fannin, take a tour on, before and after curb appeal on a front door, or something like that.
Right. And you can do every picture, but for the most part, people on Pinterest and yourself, you are just going to pin the pretty images, the pretty pictures. Right. And so, yes, if you want to do the urn and all that stuff, you can. And you can go in after you've already uploaded, like I'm in WordPress, after I've already uploaded those pictures. Now, whenever you're editing your pictures, you want to title them before you upload them into your blog, because that's how they're being saved as.
Right.
So title the pictures, make sure your title is ready to go for your blog post, upload them, and then you can go in and edit your pictures and do all your meta tags and all that good stuff, and where you can talk about modern entryway, but then like in the meta tag put gold circle mirror, like describe that. What is it in that picture? And that's what's going to pull over. The other thing I do that's really important on titling my pictures is I say modern entryway by 235 Designs. I always put my blog name at the end of it, so that for copyright, and so that people will know what it's coming from. Because that a lot of times, whenever you're scrolling through, you can't always see the watermark or whatever, and so you can see, like the one I'm looking at right now says French Rustic Cottage by 235 Designs. That's the title.
Right.
I've always heard to put your business name in the title of the picture, because then it's saved on your computer, and if someone takes it, that's what's on it.
Okay. Oh my God, there's so much here. I can't even stand it. My head's swimming. Because I feel like I'm getting 3/4 of it, and I'm really sure there's 1/4 of it that I'm like missing. But again, I just want to recap. So we are titling our pictures before we put them in our blog post. We're titling our pictures with the name of the blog post by our design company and a little description. And then what I heard you say there is, I was thinking we're going over and we're pinning everything from our blog post, but you're saying maybe you're just pinning the final, if you've done a progression blog post, maybe you're just pinning the final money shot is what you're saying.
Yes. I used to pin more than that. And now I feel like Pinterest is a lot like Instagram. It loves the pretty pictures and maybe a little bit of progress, but not
right. And so what happens is if it catches somebody's eye, and then that was lost on me for a second, but I got it now. So what you're saying is it's the pretty picture that's going to catch somebody's eye. So if the pretty picture catches somebody's eye and they click on it, then they're going to come to the blog post and they're going to see all the other progression pictures.
Or if it's just a horrific house and you say you have to see the after, you may get Facebook is really good for that. Click over from an ugly picture. But for the most part, Pinterest is
about the pretty stuff. That's an interesting, I could see that as being a true statement. I can see that on Pinterest, like it's sort of like Pinterest and Instagram. You're just scrolling and what's pretty, what's catching your eye.
Because you're not going to save a picture of a trash house. Now, I mean, it might be intriguing and you might click over, but you're not going to save it. So then if that person's not saving it, their friends aren't going to save it. Like you want that saved too, because you want 1,000 repins on that one picture.
Right. Okay. So now, and just to finish that, I can see the contrast where Facebook, it's not with Facebook. It's not, I guess, as fast a swipe. You're not like an Instagram. You could. Half the time it's like speed reading. It's like, you know what I mean.
Yes.
But Facebook, it's a little different, and I can see that an ugly picture could be intriguing. Be like, hey, I want to see the after that. Okay, so moving on from that, I like that. Okay, but now talk to me about the repins on Pinterest. Is there any method to it? Is there any steps to it? Or is it really just having the money shot and having a great picture that somebody likes? Or is there something else that we can do that will make somebody, 1,000 repins? How the heck does that happen? And Allison, listen to me. Your kitchen, this one French rustic cottage kitchen thing. That's not the French rustic cottage. There's a whole post on the whole house. It's amazing.
And there's a whole reason why it was titled like that, because in WordPress, it kept telling me, I have a plugin for SEO. It kept telling me that it wasn't titled well. And I spent forever, I started out as rustic French kitchen in my pictures, and I had to go back and change them all so that everything is flowing. This is why blog posts can take a half a day to do, because it's very important that they are all titled in the same way for the title of your blog, all that your blog post, all that stuff.
So when you say in the same way, so one post that you have is French rustic cottage and another one is simple white kitchen. In the same way, do you mean like 3 short words, bump, bump, bump? Is that what you mean?
Or so the French rustic cottage, I had originally had it switched and it was rustic French cottage on my pictures, but then the title of my blog post was the other way around. And it keeps it, so in WordPress, it would ding me and tell me, it gives you a big red light up above and it says, this is not good for SEO because they are not titled in the same way. Oh. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to go back and switch and make sure all my words were exactly the same. The spaces were the same, all that stuff. So,
Jesus.
I know this is why blogging is time consuming.
Yeah.
People will say to me, why don't you blog as much as you used to? I'm like, do you realize how long it takes to do?
Well, you know what it is, Allison, and part of the discussion here is illuminating is that I have to say, myself included, it just seems like you have been led to believe that just the blog itself on your website is going to be an SEO traffic driver, which on some level it is. The actual facing front words, okay? But when somebody is spending, a year blogging and they've gone from 3 followers to 25 followers and don't understand why, it's because of all this other back stuff that we don't know we're supposed to be doing.
No,
it's brutal.
And blogging, originally was on, your online diary for your family and your friends if you were traveling, and now it is all about. So not only are you titling your pictures for Pinterest, but it is also for SEO and how people are searching. And because if someone's just Googling French rustic cottage or kitchen, like I want my images to pop up, whether I don't care if they're from Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook,
Right.
or my blog, but I want my image to be one of the first ones that pops up so I get that click over somewhere.
Okay, so now let's just go back to the repins. And what I was about to say, and we got off on the blog there because of the titling of the blog, because I want to say this out loud. Look, your French Rustic Cottage blog, the work that you've done, those pictures are gorgeous. And so is Simple White Kitchen. It's gorgeous. But Allison, there are a gabillion white kitchens on Pinterest right now that are gorgeous. So what's happening that's making yours get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 repins? Is there some method to that, or is it truly just because of the number of followers now? But in the beginning to grow, is there a way to get it? No, what is the answer to that, Allison?
I think I know. I think I know what you're asking. So what my usual, and we talked about this earlier, whenever I'm doing my title and my keywords or, all that stuff, I think about how people are going to search. Like, if I'm going to search for a kitchen and I kind of know what I want to go, if I'm getting ideas, like my customer wants white, they want rustic, they want beams, they want Joanna Gaines, like what are the keywords that I'm going to search? That's what I'm going to try to put in back there, because that is super important for, ideally, whenever you're on Google and you are Googling something, you want your blog or something to fall in that first page of those results, just to get, the click over rate whenever you go to page 2 isn't that great. So on Pinterest, whenever I'm pinning my stuff, what my normal style is I make sure my wording is, pretty, not basic, but pretty defined on what that space is. And, but not too definitive, if that makes sense.
No,
you don't get too crazy with it. And you do have a character count, but you don't want to go too crazy with it because no one's really going to search that way, with GE appliances. No one really searches that. So I do that. And as soon as I hit publish, I pin, I don't care what, because I normally publish in the middle of the night. As soon as I hit publish on a blog post, I will go and pin, and I pin immediately. I will pin to, I actually have a board that is 235 Designs. It's my business. But then I also will pin to my kitchen board, because so you have an overall follower count on Pinterest. Then on each board, you have different follower accounts.
Understood.
Yes.
Okay.
So somebody couldn't be following my kitchen account, my kitchen board, but they're not actually following all of my boards.
Okay. So if it's a blog post about kitchens, you'll put it in your 235 Designs board, but you'll also then put it in your kitchens board.
That's correct. And I will go and repin my own pins. So wherever I pin it to originally, then I'll go and take that pin and so like if I pin it to 235, or a lot of times I'll pin it in Cook because I have more followers in that one and I get a lot more traffic off of that. Then I'll take that pin and put it in 235 Designs.
Oh, instead of doing it from your website, from your blog, you then, once you get it into Pinterest, you repin it from your own boards.
Mm-hmm. And I'll go through, like on Sunday, if I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want to boost some traffic, I'll go through and repin my own pins.
Okay. And so, for instance, if we're looking at a Simple White Kitchen blog post, in one of those pictures could be featuring, in a single shot, I could see maybe the pendant light over the island. I could see the backsplash. I could see the cabinetry. And maybe I see, I don't know, a bowl of frickin' fruit on it. Okay. Right. So what you're saying is that you pin that first to, say, 234. Do you pin it to the board that you have the most followers first that's appropriate, or you pin it to 235 first?
No, that's usually what I do is I pin it because like my kitchen board and my bathroom board and my living room do really well. And it's also because I'm not pinning my own stuff there. Like I'm pinning a lot of other people's content there. And so it's a good constant flow as opposed to just one here and there. So I will pin it
to you pin it to your business board first, your design board first. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I will take it from there and pin it because I have more followers on my kitchen board than I do my
Right. And so what we're saying is we pin it to our 235 design board, but then if there's a pendant lighting, we also pin it to lighting, and we pin it to kitchens, and we pin it to backsplash, and then we pin it to every other one of our boards that it's appropriate to pin it to.
Yes,
something
that
in
is
the
correct.
picture. Okay, cook and all that other stuff.
Yes, and I keep my boards pretty organized. I used to not, and now I do, because boards are defined. Also, the title of your board, that is SEO traffic coming to your Pinterest account. So it is, mine used to be titled fun little names, and now it's just like cook, bathe, clean. It's very generic, very basic words. So I have my cook board, and I will pin it. And then sometimes whenever I go in and repin my own pins, it gives you the option to describe it. You can click save, or, to repin it into cook again. Like, say on Sunday, I'm going to sit down and repin that whole kitchen from Pinterest. I'm not going to go into my website. I'm going to go into my Pinterest account and repin. I will go in and edit that. And sometimes I will talk a little bit more about that kitchen, like the rustic beams, or I will go in and tag brands like Frigidaire, KitchenAid appliances, what Kichler lighting, because a lot of brands are on Pinterest now. So if you do the and sometimes you kind of have to dig for their names. But I will tag them, because anything that I can do that will get traffic, you're going to do that. So
Right. Oh my goodness. So, and now we talk about repinning your own work. You're not doing it like I pinned it a month ago and I'm repinning it. You're talking like I pinned that 6 or 8 months or a year ago, and now I'm going to repin it.
I'll do it whenever. Mm-hmm.
You don't care whenever.
No, I will, because I forget. Because for the most part, if I open up my Pinterest app, I'm not looking at my own stuff. I'm looking at other people's stuff that I follow theirs, and I pin it. And then if I'm like, dang, I need to really work on my traffic, I will go and repin my own stuff. And there's several services that you can use, like Board Booster and oh my goodness, I'm trying to think of what that you can schedule out pins, and you can be in quote unquote tribes and other people's groups that you can, and it will schedule services out. I've tried it. It's like Instagram, scheduling out Instagram. Supposedly, the Pinterest gods don't like schedulers. So I've never really I know a lot of people that do, and they have thought it has really help them out because they don't have to sit down and live pin. But I do think that there's a lot of value out of live pinning, actually live pinning. Okay.
Now tell me, I noticed on your Pinterest boards that they all have, every title has it's / then kitchens. Is that just a design thing, or is that a critical thing?
Yeah, no, it's just a design thing that I started doing, and I don't, and there's no way that it could be helping out with my SEO. No. And I've thought about changing it, but
it's like a signature thing. Yeah,
it was just something that I did, and then I haven't ever really messed with it.
Okay. So just curious, and so one of the things that does come to my mind in this whole discussion is with the titles of the blog posts, and like you said, the titles of the pictures and the titles of your boards, is that I do think as creatives that we struggle with having these things with silly, just straightforward titles. I mean,
correct.
and it's hard, because when I think back to some of the blog posts that I did 2, 3, 4 years ago, I did this one blog post called Checks and Balances, because to me it was a play on checks and balances, like the you know what I mean? But the thing is, it's so absurdly inane from SEO standpoint, because nobody is going to search for, no, you don't even know that it's a blog post about, like I was doing this whole post on our plaids dead, you know what I mean? And
yes.
Our plaid fabric dead, because it hit me one time, this is about maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I don't know what it was, like I hardly see plaid anymore. Like it was, and of course all the way at the highfalutin end and all that stuff, those crazy fabrics that you always have plaid somewhere, right? But it's sort of left the everyday world. Like you're not seeing it. I always have a thing where, like, remember when as designers we were introduced to I just used the same example a week or so ago on the show, the ECAT fabrics. And,
yes.
First it just comes out very high end, the high end cravat line of fabrics that we're introducing ECATs. And I remember it coming in and it was like, first I'm this girl, because I'm not as astute as you guys are with design and trends. I first almost hate everything that comes in new. I'm like, that's ugly. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it's like, so, 3 weeks later, I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? But then it's like a year later that I will see it showing up on pillows like at Home Goods, say. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like the time it takes, or you see it. So it's the time it takes to get from, like, it's almost like seeing this stuff on the runway shows, high couture, and then like the following year you can get it at Macy's at Inc. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And,
Yes. Yes.
And so the thing was, I was like, well, what happened to plaids? Like, they're not in any day life anymore. So then I went and did a search on House for plaids and this and that, and I wrote this whole blog post on it. And because I thought to myself, well, there's got to be somebody, whatever. I don't even know why I did it. It's dumb things you come up with.
But that's a good idea for it's like what's trending and why haven't we seen this in a while?
Right.
Yes.
Except the title I can hear was ridiculous. And the thing is, I'm like being all creative writer here. You know what I mean? Like checks and balances. Checks and balances is what I said, And so I should go, that blog post should go back, and it should just be, what? Do you like plaid fabrics, or where are all the plaid fabrics gone? I mean, where's
plaid dead? And then that is the good thing, is you can go back and always change. You can go back to old posts and change them and edit them. And whenever you go back to an old post and edit it, go pin it, go share it.
Yes.
That's a good thing, is you can always go, as long as you're doing, feel like for the most part, which is good for designers with blog posts, for the most part, we're creating evergreen content. And if you don't know what that is, it's like where it's going to stay around for a while. It's not like too trendy or something that's going to, a season of life that's going to go away. And so it's our portfolio, but for the most part, it's all, people are always going to, there's always going to be somebody that's going to come back. Cause like what you said, trends usually start in one area and they will span over years. Yes. So whether we think it's out of old or out of style, somebody's probably going to like it and go back to it.
Just getting it. It's just in the different stratospheres of the food chain.
Right. And you can always go back and edit old posts. But the one tricky thing that I do have a hard time with is you can't, or WordPress will ding me and tell me that I can't title a post something because I've already titled it the same way. Oh. And so you do have to come up with a new, and it is hard for us. Like, you want to get really detailed, but then it's like, no one's ever going to search it like this. So you can't. I have friends that will go on Facebook and they're like, hey guys, I'm talking about plaids. If you were going to search for plaids on the internet, if plaids are dead, how would you search it? It's good to get feedback from friends that aren't in the same industry that we're in.
Right.
Mm-hmm, because then you're like, I would have never dreamed to search it like that, but it works. And then usually you can put in SEO and you get the green light and you're good to go on it.
And let me ask you a question. I looked at your blog post this morning, but I don't remember now. Is there a subtitle, like is Simple White Kitchen have a subtitle, or is it just Simple White Kitchen?
It will have, so I think I use Yoast. Yoast is a plugin for SEO. Yes, it will have a subtitle, and the subtitle is mainly on whenever you are Googling an image. It really doesn't have a lot to do with Pinterest, but whenever you're Googling, and for, say, Simple White Kitchen Home Tour. And so basically it would come up, that would be the top blue line, on the Google results. And then below it, I will go in and put the a little description on why you need to click over. Like, we just completed this newly constructed white, and then I will repeat those same words, Simple White Kitchen Home Tour, so that I need to entice people to get that click over to my blog.
Okay, because I think that, so what it is it's not exactly a titled subtitle. It's the title and then the first line. It's like almost a sentence or so. That's saying what. Okay, because there is and that line is also important from an SEO standpoint, you're saying. So you're repeating the title of the blog post and then taking it a step further and describing something about it. Okay. So we really just have to completely avoid all inclination to show off our creative writing skills until we get into the meat of the paragraph.
That is correct. And you cannot be creative until you're like third paragraph, and then you can really get after it.
And that's what's so crazy, is because, you grow up, learning to write with catch them at and of course the concept is the same, catching them at the title, but the way we catch people at the title now is completely different than the way we were raised in our creative writing classes to catch people people at the title. And I have to say, I struggle with it. I don't do a lot of I'm going to start to do a lot of writing now. Now I just got invited to guest write, and I'm going to tell about that. And,
fun.
yeah, so in the Window Fashions Visions magazine. So that's really cool, and I'll be telling you guys about that. But, the thing is, my brain just looks at these basic titles when I do them myself, and I'm just like, really? They're going to think you don't have a creative thought in your yeah.
Yes.
But you just got to move on. You just got to move on from it and just not worry about it. But it's true. I have to say, it's just like everything else that we learn. We overthink the things that we think people are paying attention to in exchange for the things that we've been told by experts are the things they're paying attention to. So this is a perfect example. I read both of your blog posts on the French rustic cottage and simple white kitchen, and the pictures are amazing. The work is amazing. And really, if I hadn't written the titles down in my notes for this conversation, I could give I could care less what they were titled. Like, it's the work and the pictures attract you. And so this is, the thing you have to remember.
That's correct. And you have to think about people's like what we said, behaviors, their attention span. People don't have an attention span. And like, if you check out your analytics, like the bounce rate and all that stuff, that they come to your blog, they're coming because they saw a pretty picture, or they Googled a how-to, or for the most part, they're not reading unless it's like, what is that paint color? And they will slowly scroll through until they see, I don't even read stuff. I'm just like pretty. I don't have time to read her 500 word count. But SEO will tell you need to have a certain amount of words for it to rank really well on the search engine. So, but people don't have the attention span for it. And so you could basically say some crazy news up at the top, and a lot of people will miss it. So, but once you build up a really good, I don't know what the word is for it. People that are reading, your blog consistently, they kind of get to where they know you, and they will read, they'll sit down and read it. But for the most part, it's just pretty pictures and clicking over and scanning it.
Okay, so the last question I want to ask you before I let you go is, you've built this massive following on both of these two particular platforms that we've talked about, Pinterest and Instagram. Has it translated into client work for you? Or money? Yes. Oh, it has. Okay. Oh, yes.
Well, money, because you can make money from your ads on your blog, and that's a whole nother thing that we can talk about. But yes, because people see your work. People are nosy, so they click over and they want to know who you are, where you're from, what you're doing, what your style is. And yes, I do get emails off of pictures. Pinterest is a little kind of funny, because unless you always watermark your photos. If you're watermarking your photos, a lot of times you can't tell whose work it is, because even bloggers will take other images and say, I love this, and put it on their blog, and you don't know where the original source is coming from. And I think there are a lot of issues on that. So, but I do get a lot of Instagram messages on things, and it's kind of funny, because it will usually start out as a conversation, and then, do you do e-design, or do you have sourcing on this item? Where are you at? Because I don't have where I'm actually I just have Texas. I don't have where I'm located at on my Instagram, and it will usually say, then I'll say, okay, email me, or here's my phone number, and we'll talk. And it's kind of mumbling that you pick up a lot of people, but I do have a friend that's a designer in San Antonio, and her business took off the ground from Pinterest on people contacting her. And she got a client in Florida, and it was all e-design, but it lasted a really long time. And I'm always like, it can't hurt. What can it hurt? It can't hurt anything.
I agree. But see, my thing is that, like, I'll use my own example. WindowWorks, I probably spent a year of what you said, sitting at the while I'm at TV, while I'm at a traffic light, pinning this crap and nothing. So I was obviously missing, 3 other steps in here. You know what I mean? But if someone is out there and thinking about, well, let me, make this more of a process and systemize it and really put some effort into this, I don't want to suggest doing it if it also isn't going to result in money, because we can get on the phone and call realtors and make contacts and, set up stuff like that. So, but I just wanted to make sure. And I know that that's we have 2 other programs that we could do with you. We could do the Facebook whole thing with you. And I know we could do monetizing the blog with you, because you have a blog that has followers in the tens of thousands. And I noticed that you have affiliate links on there and so forth. And that's another topic that we really should cover, because we have not covered it in depth at this level. So I'm going to have to invite you back, I think.
Oh yeah, I'll come back. It's been fun.
That's it.
I love it. Once I get on my little kick of social media, I can't quit talking about it.
Well, it's funny. I'll just tell everybody that we started out by Allison telling me that she's an introvert. So, okay. So we've gotten her out of her box over there. So I'm glad about that. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Just before you go, give them how they find you. So it's 235 Design. Tell us all the stuff.
Yes, 235 Designs. It's TWOTHIRTYFIVE and then designsplural.com. It's the same thing on Facebook and Instagram. That's where I mainly put my design work at. And then reposting other people's stuff.
Okay, great. Well, and I'm just going to recommend everybody do check out your design work. And we didn't even scratch the surface. It's gorgeous. And, we didn't even scratch the surface that you have 40 projects going on right now. Oh my God. Okay. So Allison, thank you so much. I'm so glad that I met you through Margaret and William and Bill.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all need to look at Magazine Living too. So it's a comic relief, that's for sure, from the end of the day.
It is so much fun. It is so much fun. I love it. I crack up. As soon as I start to read the first line, I have to type. I don't know if you remember the one. I read the first sentence and I had a comment. I'm already laughing and I'm not even through the post yet.
Yes. Well, and it's funny. I have friends now that will send pictures and they're like, it's funny how I notice things now in pictures that I would have never noticed before. And they're like, can you talk about this? Will you post about this picture?
It's the truth. Because some of them super high-end magazines really do have some crazy pictures.
Yes, ma'am. They do. Oh, so funny.
Oh, it is funny.
It's a good little outlet to have.
That's it. Sure. I love it. I look forward to it.
Good.
As a matter of fact, you missed a couple of days, and I was like, where is she?
I was at market.
I know.
It's funny because people will say that you haven't posted in a while. I'm like, okay. I'm like, it's kind of, I have to sit down and really think about the pictures and what I'm going to say about how am I going to make fun of it.
Well, and because I was with you at market off and on, I was like, all right, she's busy like I'm busy. But I'm like, where's Margaret and William?
They're in there. They're just tired right now. So we had to make it through market and then we surfaced. So
that's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Allison. Have a great day.
Yes, thanks. You too.
Hey there. Do you know what hashtag Instacravit is? Have you heard of this yet? Let me tell you about it. Hashtag Instacravit is a new initiative that our sponsor, Cravit Inc., is running where you can get some media coverage, national media coverage. Yes, you can. Here's how it works. If you have a project where you've used a Cravit product, it could be anything. It could be lighting. It could be accessories. It could be a fabric. It could be furniture, an area rug. Take a picture of it, post it to social media, hashtag it InstaCravit, and then tag Cravit Inc. on it. And then watch the repost magic happen. See if you get to be one of the lucky ones that gets reposted by Cravit Inc. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, let's run some numbers. They have more than 100,000 followers on Instagram, more than 32,000 followers on Facebook, and more than 43,000 followers on Twitter. Sounds like a little incentive if you ask me. I would give you this very big tip though. Make sure it's a pretty picture. It doesn't have to be professional, but you are presenting your brand to Cravit, and in turn, Cravit is presenting their brand out to the world. So give that some thought. But why don't we try it? I'm going to try it with my WindowWorks project starting right away. Hashtag InstaCravit. Tag Cravit Inc. Tag me too. It'll be fun. Okay, so seriously, when you're at your computer, go check out Allison's work. Check out her blog and all of her social media platforms. I didn't really give enough really deference to the work that she creates. It's really something to be admired. But what she has done is fairly extraordinary in regard to social media. She had said to me off air, we didn't discuss it on the show, but her blog, when she was actively paying attention to it, and I'm just going to make an assumption based on Allison in her conversation, that probably meant daily. She said she had between 75,000 and 85,000 visits a day. And she said, now that I'm not, actively doing it as much, it's between 30,000 and 45,000 a day. I mean, are you kidding me? So many of us as designers and creatives have blogs out there, and we'd be just really thrilled if like 10 people showed up, right? So Allison is a very smart lady. She's got this social media thing down well. And the one thing we also didn't really mention in the episode is that Allison also consults and runs social media campaigns for other people. Some of her clients include GMC, Target, Home Depot, but she also works with individual designers like you. So you can find information for those services of Allison's at www.simpleassembly.net. That's www.simpleassembly.net. Now, Allison and I are going to talk again. We're going to talk about how she built her Facebook group, how she built that massive blog following. So stay tuned and on the lookout for those. And in the meantime, please go over and follow her on Instagram at Magazine Living. It's hysterical. The girl is a lunatic. I love her so much I can't even stand it. All right. Now, how are you doing with hashtag Instacravat? Have you posted any yet? Please remember to tag me and Cravat anytime you use a Cravat product. Put it up there on social media. Use the hashtag Instacravat. All right. And if you have a Cravat showroom near you that you usually go to, tag them too. And a reminder, if you are in the Philadelphia area, I will be at the Cravat showroom for the new opening, and we will be doing a Facebook Live from there. So please be sure to join us. And if you're going, make sure you introduce yourself to me. And I'm looking to do 3 or 4 live interviews there on your reactions to the Cravat showroom. 3, 4, 5 minutes each. Nothing, no big deal, nothing to be nervous about, but it'd be fun. And if you want to be on our live Facebook, come on out and share the camera with me. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for the recent iTunes reviews. They just make me so happy. And if you haven't left yours yet, if you would do it today, that would be so fabulous. All righty. That's it for today, guys. Thanks so much. Have an excellent day. Thank you for joining me again today for another episode of A Well-Designed Business. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks in Livingston, New Jersey, your trade resource for custom window treatments and awnings. Learn more about WindowWorks at www.windowworks-nj.com. All of our music is original music by Room 2 Productions. Please contact us if you want to learn more about original music for your business or your events.